Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in our studio in Hollywood, California. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is our final show of the year, at least from the studio here. I'll still be doing some stuff on the road as I travel home for holidays with family and friends, but yeah, it's our last show in the studio this year. We got off to a little bit of a bumpy start, I think it's safe to say, guys, this year in the studio with rain coming through the ceilings and audio issues and all sorts of things. But I think we've been on a pretty good path here lately. So yeah, we're going to have some fun here today, guys. It's going to be, you know what? I'm only going to talk about a couple things off the top here today. And then I'm going to save the rest of the day just for all open mic, open discussion stuff. You guys can jump on the Super Chat board, send in questions, and we'll get going there. But before we do, there is just a couple things I want to talk about. First thing I want to talk about here today is I was getting ready to leave to come to the studio early this morning, and boom, popped up Men in Black International trailer drops. And of course, the new Men in Black is coming, but instead of Will Smith, we've got Chris Hemsworth, we got Tessa Thompson, we got the Liam Neesons in it, and of course, it's being directed by F. Gary Gray. Now, F. Gary Gray has been on a bit of a roll. He did the last Fast and Furious movie, which was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't the best of the Fast and Furious series, and it wasn't as good as the previous couple ones, but it was still pretty solid. He, of course, did Straight Outta Compton. He did the underrated Law-Abiding Citizen with Gerard Butler. I think that movie's underrated. It falls apart a little bit in the third act, but overall, it's a pretty damn good film, and I've enjoyed that one a lot. So he's on a bit of a roll. We got this Men in Black trailer. Now, we knew they released some footage for this at that Brazil Comic-Con, and everybody talked about it, but it didn't come out here. And then, boom, they dropped the Men in Black International trailers here today. And I got to tell you what, I've been a little bit skeptical. I mean, I've liked the idea for a Men in Black International. I certainly have liked the cast. I like the director decision. But I'll be honest, there's been a part of me this morning, well, what's this going to feel like? Is having any kind of a Men in Black thing just going to feel like, you know, desperately grasping at the popularity of the old films? I got to tell you what, I don't know how most of you guys feel about this one. You know, like yesterday when the Will Smith image as Genie dropped, I read a lot of reaction to it. A lot of it was very negative, but I read a lot of reaction to it. I haven't really read any reaction to this Men in Black trailer, so I'm talking to you guys cold on this. I don't know what you guys think about this Men in Black trailer, but I'll tell you what, I thought it was not bad. I thought it felt very Men in Black, but at the same time, it felt very different from the other ones. The Chris Hemsworth character is not Will Smith. You know, Tessa Thompson, even Liam Neeson is not Tommy Lee Jones. And I don't know what you guys saw, but if you watch the trailer, when the trailer starts, and it starts with Liam Neeson with Chris Hemsworth, instantly, come on, tell me you guys didn't think this. Instantly, I was thinking, oh, so Liam Neeson's in this movie for like 2 minutes and he's going to die. Like they say Liam Neeson's going to be in this movie, but clearly he's Chris Hemsworth's partner. He's going to die. They got to get him a new partner. All this is going through my head in like just for 5 seconds of footage, right? But then it turns out, no, he stays in it, which is great because I love the Liam Neesons. And to have Tessa Thompson come in there, and I'm becoming a bigger and bigger fan of hers as time goes on. And they did, like I said, a lot of Men in Black isms with the aliens walking by, pulling weapons out of the car, but at the same time, very different, very new, very fresh in many different ways. And I got to tell you what, the ending of this trailer was a pretty big guffaw for me. It was a pretty big laugh for me when he throws the hammer at the dude, and he's like, that was an incredible catch. I thought it was a really good line. I thought a lot of it was quite good. So, and did you notice as she walks into the Men in Black headquarters, there's a painting on the wall. There's a couple, but there's a painting on the wall, and it's of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. So that was a nice little kind of Easter egg tie-in to the previous films too. So, yeah, guys, I don't know what you guys thought about it. I thought it was good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it blew my socks off. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was like the Avengers Infinity War trailer 2 or anything like that. But it kind of settled my nerves about how can you even do this? What's it going to feel like? I'll tell you what, it seems to me like they've captured their own identity with this thing while maintaining the nostalgia. And I'm looking forward to this movie. So what do you guys think about this Men in Black trailer? Jump down to the comment section and let me know what you guys think. All right, let's talk about this other thing here. Last night, I went to go see Mary Poppins. Opens wide in theaters today. We've been hearing Oscar buzz for this film, particularly surrounding Emily Blunt. We've been, hearing great things about the music, all this kind of stuff. So with extremely high anticipation levels, Ann and I went to go see it last night. I mean, Robert was even on this show yesterday talking about how he was going to go home. He was so excited for Mary Poppins. He was going to go home, pop in his Blu-ray of the original Mary Poppins, watch that, prepping for this new one. So I go to see it. How was it? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And again, maybe this is one of those situations where I'm a victim of my own expectations. That happens to all of us sometimes, right? We go into a movie, our expectations are like way up here. Maybe it was unrealistic expectations. And when a movie comes in under our expectations, no matter how good, we end up walking out maybe a little underwhelmed. And I got to admit, that was kind of my experience with Mary Poppins Returns. I did have admittedly, I had very, very high expectations. And it's good. It is good. It is a movie I will tell you should go and see. On a thumbs up or thumbs down scale, I give Mary Poppins Returns a thumbs up. However, I'm not nominating it for Best Picture of the Year. And I know there have been some award bodies already that have already started announcing nominations. I'm not giving Mary Poppins a Best Picture of the Year nomination. It's good. It is. And I'm not just saying that, because it's not as good as the original. No, who cares? I'm not talking about the original. I'm not comparing this film to the original. I'm just saying on its own, it's pretty good. But I'll tell you what, there are some major script issues with this movie. Major script issues. Now, let's start with the good thing, the most obvious thing, the one thing that everybody's going to want to talk about. How is Emily Blunt? Spectacular. Believe the buzz on the Emily Blunt part of this. Believe the buzz about Emily Blunt should probably get a Best Actress nomination. She just grabbed that role of Mary Poppins, an iconic role in Hollywood that you got to have huge balls to take in the first place, because that's huge expectations coming along with it. Emily Blunt takes it, runs with this movie. She puts the whole movie on her shoulders and runs with it. She's amazing. That part of this movie lives up to the hype, and that's to absolutely nobody's surprise. All of us were expecting her to crush it. She absolutely does. Might be the best thing she's ever done. And I know that's saying a lot, but it might be the best Emily Blunt I've ever seen on screen. She's amazing. And you know what's great? She didn't just do a Julie Andrews impersonation. She did Mary Poppins. Just like Julie Andrews did Mary Poppins. She didn't try to just do a Julie Andrews. She did the character, and she owned it, and she's unbelievable. Lin-Manuel Miranda, also very good in it. I mean, he's no Dick Van Dyke, but he's pretty damn good in it. The kids were charming. The characters were all very nice and all this kind. The big problem for me, as I said a little bit earlier, was script and story issues. There are so many things that go on in this movie that you're just sitting there thinking, okay, forget the fact that this is a Mary Poppins movie, and forget the fact for a moment that it's a musical. There are story structure issues here that make no sense whatsoever, and little things that happen in the movie that render entire chunks of the movie pointless and useless. And I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but something happens at the end of the movie that kind of made, so nothing that we just sat through and watched in this movie was needed to watch. We didn't need to go through any of this. And that happens several times through the movie. There just wasn't a good story there. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to. Mary Poppins Returns is a spectacle. It's got some really good music, nowhere near as good as the original films, but there's this one song in particular called Where the Lost Things Go that's really special that Emily Blunt sings in. And there's a couple of other really nice little tunes. But when you come down to the story, there's really no story here. There's really no story to tell. They start building towards a story, but then they undermine everything they do. And again, it's difficult to talk about without getting into spoilers and things like that. So I do want to be careful. Again, the bottom line for me is, and at the end of the day, would I say go see Mary Poppins Returns? Yes. Yeah. Go see it. It's entertaining, toe-tapping, and you're going to love Emily Blunt in this movie. But I will also caution you, as I am your parakeet in the coal mine, I guess, moderate your expectations. Adjust your expectations. As a spectacle, pretty good. As a movie, it lacked in some areas. Still, overall, a positive time. If you guys have had a chance to see Mary Poppins, I'd love to know your thoughts. Jump down in the comment section below, or maybe even after you go to see it this week and this weekend, come on back to the channel here and jump in there and let me know what you guys think about Mary Poppins. I just felt it's a movie that probably should have been better. Probably should have been better. Still good. Probably should have been better. All right, guys. So I said we were going to keep today pretty casual. And we're just going to do mostly live questions. And that's what we're going to do for the rest of the day here. And then me and Ray and Jonathan have a very important staff meeting at the AMC Burbank 16. We're going to go and watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse again. That's a very important staff meeting that we have to get to. So before then, we're also got a little something different. To help me out here today, because my voice is already starting to go a little bit, we got, Grandmaster Ray over here.
Yeah.
Grandmaster Ray is going to be reading off the Super Chat questions today for us to get to.
All right.
All right. So, Ray, I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to throw Ray under the bus here. I'm going to let you guys know. I said, Ray, let's put a camera on you. He's like, no camera on me today. No camera on me. It was a big step just to get Ray to speak into a microphone. So he's like, let's take this step by step, Campea.
Yeah, baby steps.
Baby steps. All right. Ray, tell us what's going on. What's the first question here?
Tom Growcut writes, how about that Men in Black trailer, the end bit, LOL?
Oh, the end bit was great. I mean, I already mentioned that a little bit earlier, but that whole thing, Hemsworth shows again. First of all, go watch Rush. And then go watch that scene in Infinity War with Chris Hemsworth with Thor and Rocket Raccoon. And watch Rush. Chris Hemsworth is a legit world-class dramatic actor. But he has shown over and over and over again, he's got great comedic sensibilities. Great comedic sensibilities. He really knows how to sell a scene. A great example of that, I think, is that much maligned Ghostbusters. I thought Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters was probably the best part of that movie. He's got great comedic sensibilities, and you can really see that just in that one little scene of his reaction to the alien catching the hammer. It's kind of in a microcosm, an example of what makes Chris Hemsworth such a special performer. Yeah, and I love that. I thought that was a great part. All right, what's next? Niraivana
Parisu writes, with Spider-Verse this year and Logan last year, doesn't it show what studios like Fox and Sony can do with their Marvel characters and be unique?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've been saying for years, guys, and particularly when this whole thing came up about Fox being taken over by Disney. It's like, look, you all know I'm a huge MCU fan. I love Marvel, right? I still think the greatest comic book movie ever made is the original Avengers movie. So there's all that. But as a movie fan, I have not been thrilled with the idea that Marvel is taking back all these other properties as well, because it is going to homogenize the comic book movies that we get. The beautiful thing about Sony having control over some of these big properties and Fox having control over these big properties is that they have been making not only good comic book movies, they've been making the types of comic book movies that Disney never would have made. Disney's making magnificent comic book movies for sure, but they make a certain style of comic book movies, and that works for them, and that's great. But Fox, and I've said this before, but I will say it again because it is a truth, all right? Disney never would have made Logan the way Logan was. Disney never would have made Deadpool the way Deadpool was, or Deadpool 2. You know, Disney, hey, who knows animation better than Disney? But when you watch Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, that's a different kind of movie than Disney's ever done. And I've just loved the fact that we've got these different studios that bring different types of DNA to their comic book movies to really give us good variety. And while I have no doubt, people think I'm crapping on Kevin Feige. Not at all. I am a huge fan of Kevin Feige. Everybody should know that. While I have no doubt Kevin Feige and his brain trust of Marvel are going to do a good job with these properties, I have no doubt they're going to do a good job with them once they eventually get them. No doubt. They're still going to be Marvel movies, and they're going to share DNA with all the other Marvel movies. And I just think it's a bad thing. And yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think movies like Venom, I think like movies like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Logan, all these types of things are just kind of proof that it's a good thing when we have different studios doing different big comic book movies. because we get different types of movies. But anyway, that's just me. All right, what's next?
Right. Justin writes, I know for a film to be snubbed from the Oscars is a high burden for you, but if Pan's Labyrinth didn't get a nomination for Best Picture or Director, is that a snub?
No, it wasn't a snub. Like, here's the thing. People use the word snub is far too overused. It is a far too overused term today. When somebody says snub, what they just really mean is a movie I like didn't get nominated. That's not a snub. To me, you're right. I have a high threshold for when you should use the word snub. Because to me, a snub isn't just, well, that could have got a nomination. No, a snub is not only did this film or actor or actress or director or whatever, not only did this entity deserve to be nominated, there is a real, legit argument to be made that it should have won its category. It could have won its category. Then, a potential nominee that had a legit shot of winning the category, not getting nominated, then I'll call that a snub. Pan's Labyrinth, which I adore, was not going to win Best Picture that year. It didn't have a shot of winning Best Picture that year. That was the same year that Martin Scorsese did The Departed. And ain't nothing was going to beat The Departed. That was the same year as The Queen. That was the same year as Tower of Babel. That was the same year as Letters from Iwo Jima. What was the last one? Can't remember the last one. But that was the same year that was happening. Del Toro, he was not going to beat Scorsese that year for best director. He wasn't even in the top 2 or 3. So, and neither was the movie as a whole. So it's one of those situations where had Pan's Labyrinth got a nomination, I would have been totally fine with that. So yeah. But it was nowhere near going to win. So it not getting a nomination, I wouldn't call it a snub. I have no problem that it didn't get nominated. I would have had no problem if it did get nominated, but it doesn't meet that criteria to me of being called a snub. That's too big a word. I don't think that's something that I would do. All right, what's next?
Oh man, this name again, right here. It's Niraivana writes. You used to say that DC should have started their universe with a Justice League movie.
Yep.
Spider-Verse is an example of how they could have done it.
Well, I mean, yeah. So I've been saying for a long time, what his point is, everybody said, well, DC should do their universe just like the way Marvel did it. 5 individual films and a team of films. I'm like, no, you don't have to follow that. You don't have to follow that recipe. There are other recipes you can follow. And I think DC could have started their DCU with a Justice League movie. The problem was not. There are all these people out there saying, and I'm sorry, but you're wrong. There are all these people out there saying, DC would have been better if it started with individual. No. It would have been better if the movies were better. That's what it's about. It's not about whether or not they did 6 individual films, then 1 little team-up film, then 5 more individual films, then a massive Justice League film. It's not about what formula they followed. It's that they didn't make their movies good enough to win over the audience and win over the critics and win over the box office. There are people who like them, like me, but they weren't good enough to win over everybody else. That's the problem. And I've been saying for a long time, like you're bringing up the whole idea about Spider-Verse. Yeah, you had, how many Spider-Men did they have? They had Miles, Peter, Penny, Gwen, Noir, and Spider-Ham. So there's 6. You had a team of 6 Spider-Men, right? They did not need to do 6 individual origin story movies first, and then you do Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. No. Boom, Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, 6 Spider-Men, go. And they made it great. I've been saying for years, Guardians of the Galaxy. They didn't have to do a Groot standalone movie first, and then a Rocket standalone movie, and then a Gamora standalone movie, and then a Drax standalone movie, and then a Peter standalone movie. No. Boom, Guardians of the Galaxy, go. And they made it great. That's the difference. That's what made it cross the finish line. Not the formula they followed, they just made a great movie. And I think that's what you could have done with Justice League. But again, Justice League would have had to come out of the gates first, and it would have had to have been great. But that's the issue, not what formula they follow. That's the way I see it at any rate. All right, what's next?
All right, Shazam writes, my theory, Tony is dying as he hears this noise cut to outer space. And out there is Dom revving his engine as he says, don't worry, Tony, family's coming.
Family. Yeah, I mean, we've been joking around this channel for a long time that, I mean, look, really it's not Thanos, it's not whatever, it's the most powerful character in cinema is Dominic Toretto from Fast and Furious. If I'm telling, don't laugh. I'm telling you, if the Fast and Furious writers are writing this movie, Dominic Toretto takes out Thanos in the first 5 minutes of Avengers with a monkey wrench, because that's apparently his weapon of choice. And then he would have gone on and fought off the entire Chitauri army. Then he would have fought off the aliens in War of the Worlds, and then he would have done everything else, because people complaining about Superman, the most overpowered character in all of cinema is Dominic Toretto.
They should paint him purple too.
And they say, why not? Why not paint him purple? They might as well. So yeah, that's always been an issue. So yep, I wouldn't put it past them. Hey, I'm telling you what, if Disney bought the rights to Fast and Furious, that's exactly what would have happened. All right, what's next?
All right, James Welsh writes, who would have believed Bumblebee and Spider-Verse would be the best two films in the death row? You still think Mary Poppins will come out on top box office wise?
Yeah, it's hard to say. See, I've been saying for a while that I think Aquaman will win the weekend. And I think it might even win the weekend by a decent margin. But I've thought long term, by the time both of these, by the time Mary Poppins and Aquaman have finished their theatrical runs, that ultimately Mary Poppins will make more money. Like opening weekend, it's going to be Aquaman. Long term, Mary Poppins. I'm not so sure about that anymore. For one very important reason. I don't think Mary Poppins is good enough to elicit a lot of return business. I still think Mary Poppins is going to do well. But yeah, I am rethinking my original thought that when it was all said and done, Mary Poppins will make more money worldwide overall than Aquaman. And I'm not so sure about that anymore, because now I've seen the movie. And I'm not suspecting a lot of people are going to, A, do a lot of repeat business, or B, do like what a lot of people did with Venom, which was not only did they go back and watch Venom again, they're like, calling their buddies and saying, hey, you know how we all thought that Venom movie was going to be crap? It's actually pretty good. You need to come with me next Wednesday. And they start dragging other people to it. Then all of a sudden, this little movie that everybody said couldn't work without Spider-Man makes $850 million. I don't see that happening with this Mary Poppins movie. Now, it all depends. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe the overall public loves the movie and they do drag people back, I guess, but I don't see that happening. So there. Now, as far as who would have seen that Bumblebee and Spider-Verse would have been the best ones, not me. Not me. I mean, I knew with Travis Knight directing Bumblebee, it was going to be different, and I knew it was going to be better, probably would be better than the other Transformers movies, but we didn't know. I wasn't expecting Bumblebee to be as good as it was. I was not expecting it. It's a really you know what? I feel bad that we haven't been talking more about Bumblebee, because it deserves it. It deserves the attention, and me and my doll say we both agree. We both agree that Bumblebee is amazing, and I never would have guessed that Spider-Verse was going to be my number one comic book movie of the year. I never would have guessed that.
Is Bumblebee open right now?
No, it opens tomorrow night.
Oh, I can't wait.
Opens tomorrow night, or does it? No, or is it tonight? Oh, I take it back. It opens tonight. Bumblebee opens tonight, as a matter of fact. And I love the fact that you guys are going to get a chance to see it. Again, I'm not saying it's the best picture of the year or anything like that, but it's really damn good. And I was kind of against this Spider-Verse movie at first. And yeah, color me shocked. I've seen it twice now. I'm about to go back and watch it for a third time.
In 3D?
Oh no,
please.
3D's at the 10:30 show. We're not gonna make it for 10:30. We're gonna get there for the IMAX show at 11. So unless we just end the show right now, should we end the show right now and just go so we can make the 10:30 3D? I don't know why. I hate 3D. Ray and Rob like 3D. This
movie seems so perfect for 3D.
I will say this. I hate 3D, but you can sort of tell when you're watching the movie that they certainly had 3D in mind. So you can totally tell that. So I will give it that. I will give it that. All right, what's next?
All right. Murray writes, I didn't have high expectations like you did, so I quite enjoyed the film. It doesn't beat the 60s, but many music stuck in my head. 2D animation looks amazing. Meryl Streep could have been left out. Overall, had a good time. Yeah,
I'm talking obviously about Mary Poppins. Again, I think it's a good movie. It's good. It's good. And I am a little bit of a victim here when it comes to Mary Poppins about maybe my expectations being too high. I went in hearing that one of the scenes some people didn't like so much was this topsy-turvy scene that features Meryl Streep. First of all, the Streep monster crushes it. She does. She plays that scene. She makes that scene as good as it can be. However, I will agree with most people that it wasn't a scene that was needed. I mean, yeah, you got in Meryl Streep and she elevated the scene and made it as good as it could be. But at the end of the day, it still wasn't that good of a scene. And you probably, no, I feel very confident. You'll see what I'm talking about. When you go see this movie, and I know a lot of you will, when the Mary Poppins scenes with Meryl Streep comes up, you're going to see what I'm talking about. It's a scene that the movie didn't need. It didn't need to be there. As great as Streep is, didn't need to be there. So I agree with you on that, Murray. Also, yeah, some of the music is pretty good. In particular, this Where the Lost Things Go. This Where the Lost Things Go is a special song. And it's got really good emotional hooks to it. And unlike a lot of other good songs in movies, it actually fits in with its scene perfectly. So you'll see what I'm talking about there. But yeah, Murray, I'm with you. It's a good film. I would recommend people see it. I'm just saying, I think people should probably adjust their expectations. I mean, but I don't know. Maybe you guys didn't have the same unrealistic expectations that I did. So maybe you don't have to adjust your expectations all that much. But I'm just saying, don't go in expecting best film of the year, because I know it's getting some awards buzz on that level. I just don't think it belongs in those conversations. That's just me. All right, what's next?
Murray follows up with disappointed that Welcome to Marwen is at 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Disappointment does not even begin to cover it.
Robert's going to be heartbroken.
I'm heartbroken, dude. I'm heartbroken. I mean, look, one of the movies I've been talking a lot about the last few months that I can't wait to see is Stephen Carell, who's one of my favorites, and Welcome to Marwen. One of the most original looking movies, because I've never quite seen a movie like that. And I've been stoked about this movie a long time, thinking it was going to have some Oscar potential. Then we find out that the press screenings weren't until like 2 or 3 days before the movie even came out. I had an invite for a press screening the other day, but Ann hadn't seen Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse yet, so that's what we went to see instead. So Ann and I actually had tickets to Welcome to Marwen 2 night. We had our tickets to go see Welcome to Marwen 2 night. And then my worst fears were realized when, they were lifting the review embargo the day before the movie comes out. That's never a good sign. And then sure enough, the reviews came out and it had like a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm like, I can't do it. And I talked to Ann last night. I was like, honey, I can't do it. It's just going to break my heart. It's just going to break my heart. I can't do it. So I don't even want to go see this thing tomorrow night. Because we've only got like 2 or 3 days left in town before we go to Canada for the holidays. I'm like, I don't know that I want to spend my time going to a movie. That's just going to break my heart. So I canceled my tickets. Canceled my tickets to Welcome to Marwen. And it's breaking my heart. And you're right, it's going to break Robert's heart too. But yep, Murray, disappointment doesn't even begin to cover it. All right, what's next?
Spencer Main writes, my friends, you bow to no one.
One of the great lines in cinematic history. I'm going to tell you what. Only a few times I actually tear up in a movie. When the king gets down on his knee. Well, it's before that. But he goes up to the hobbits at the end of the Return of the King and says, my friends, because they bow to him as he's coming up. And he's like, whoa, my friends, you bow to no one. And he kneels and bows before the hobbits. And then the hobbits look around and thousands of elves and dwarves and humans all kneel before these 4 hobbits. I'm telling you, man, it tears me up. It's one of the best scenes ever. One of the best scenes ever. I love that line. All right, what's next?
All right, Murray writes in again and says, watched Searching last night. Great original and interesting concept of a film. Great mystery ending. Wow, John Cho can do drama.
Yeah, for a while.
I love this
you
movie.
Talked about.
This
I remember
is my
you saw it
favorite
before I
question
did.
today. Yeah.
You saw that before I did, and you came in. I remember you showed up at the house one day, and you're like, boom, Searching, and you started talking about it.
Yeah.
And I finally got around to see it because you know what? It's really weird because I thought number one, the trailer was crap. John Cho leading more of a dramatic film. I know he can act, but I don't know. But it looked cheap to me too. It looked really cheap. And then all of a sudden, I had some friends of mine at some different film festivals where they were playing it and coming out and going, "Oh my God, Searching! You got to see Searching." And I'm like, okay. And finally, I got around to watching it and was like, "This is really good." Deborah Messing was better than I thought. I didn't even realize she was in the trailer at first, and then I'm realizing that's Deborah Messing.
Also, you actually ended up seeing it.
Yeah, I did.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Did Ann see it too?
No, Ann hasn't seen it.
She needs to see that.
I saw when she was in.
Rhode Island or.
Yeah, I saw when she was down in Rhode Island. So,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't see it with her, but Yeah, I mean, it's one of the really more pleasant surprise movies of the year because, again, I love it when movies look like crap and then I watch them. It's like, whoa, wait a minute, this was actually really good. And Searching is definitely one of those films.
But didn't half of that movie seem like a promotion for Google products?
Well, I mean, yes.
But that's the way the world works now. So,
yeah, absolutely. Okay. But so it fit though.
Right.
It fit in with the movie. All right, what's next?
Okay, Biniam Gaming writes, can the DCEU make $1 billion film without rebooting?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely it can. I mean, there are some people out there who think Aquaman's going to make $1 billion. I still don't think it will, but it's possible. Look, every movie comes out and it has its own potential and its own possibilities. All right, every movie does. Do I think the smart thing would have been for DC to reboot? Yes. I think that would have been the smart thing. They chose to go a different direction. That's fine. It can still work. There's more than one path to victory, as many sports coaches say, right? There's not just one path to victory. I think there are some smarter paths that have a better chance of getting you to victory, but DC chose a different path. There's still ways for them to get there, right? And because who would have thought Jumanji was going to come within a hair of being $1 billion film? Nobody. Nobody thought Jumanji was going to be $1 billion film. And it ended up like coming within a hair of being $1 billion film. Well, I'll tell you right now, Wonder Woman has a completely legit shot. The first one made over $800 and something million, and it was very well received by the audience and the critics. So yeah, you put out a sequel that lives up to that or better, it could easily be $1 billion film. Could easily be $1 billion film. And like I said, there are a bunch of people that think Aquaman might be able to. I don't, but hey, it's possible. So can it happen? Yeah, absolutely it can happen, and they don't necessarily have to reboot to do it. All right, what's next?
All right, James Argenta writes, over or under 4.5 Oscar nominations for MCU this year, 1.5 wins, one more than the DCEU got from the Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad. I'm not sure how to read that. So
yeah, over under 4.5 Oscar nominations for the MCU this year. 4.5 nominations for MCU films. So that would be Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man and the Wasp. All right. I think there's a real legit chance both Black Panther and Infinity War. I mean, look, there's a chance that Black Panther, Infinity War, and Ant-Man could all get Best Visual Effects nominations because all three of those films are in the final 10. So all three of those could have nominations. And if they do, that's 3 out of the 4.5 already right there. Then you got costume and makeup. You've got art design. You've got musical scores. You've got potential. I still think there's a potential Michael B. Jordan gets a Best Supporting Actor nomination. I still think there's potential to do that. I don't see any screenplay stuff, but editing, sound design. Man, there's a lot of. I think these MCU films all stand a very good chance in a lot of the technical categories. I'm going to take the over 4.5. I'm going to take the over 4.5, and I will take the under 1.5 wins. So I'll take the over 4.5 nominations. I will take under 1.5 wins. Only one comic book movie in history has ever won Best Visual Effects, so it's not likely that they will. I actually think First Man might get it, but I don't know. First Man might not even get a nomination, but I think there's a possibility First Man might actually win Best Visual Effects. And then it's a little bit of a coin toss. So I think the MCU comes out with one Oscar this year, one Oscar win this year, but over 4.5 nominations is what I'll go on right now. All right, what's next?
Marie Saffring writes, a movie of the musical Hamilton wrapped 2 years ago, but it won't release before 2020 because of distribution rights negotiations. Why such a drawn-out process? I
am not aware of that at all. I do not believe. First of all, I don't think they would actually produce a movie. I mean, what you're saying, Marie, might actually very well be true. It might absolutely be true. It seems odd to me that you don't make these movies unless you already have your distribution, all that stuff already figured out. You don't go and invest $50 million into making something when you don't even know if you can distribute it. So actually, I would need to look that up and see what it is we're talking about. Give me a second here. So first of all, I saw Hamilton the musical on stage, right? Yeah, no, it was no. from what I'm reading, no such film. They're talking about doing it, but no such film was made. That's something that we really would have known and talked about. So, no, there was a story, for instance, in the Wall Street Journal just this year about Hamilton may get a movie made, but I don't think that's the case right now. So, yeah. So I'm not quite sure what it is you're referring to, Marie, but I do not think such movie was produced or wrapped. All right, what's next?
Chris Warden writes, what's Shailene Woodley been up to lately? After The Fault in Our Stars and Divergent came out, she looked like she'd be on her way to be the next Jennifer Lawrence, but I haven't seen her in much lately.
Well, one of the things, first of all, she has been busy. She headlined her own film, the one on the boat. What was that one again?
Oh, man.
With the dude from Hunger Games.
Oh.
Damn it. Float?
Might have been.
Drift? Adrift. That's what it was called. Adrift. So she headlined that. But more importantly and bigger than that, she has been one of the stars of one of the most awarded television series the last couple of years. I think it's on HBO, Big Little Lies, that she did with Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman, that everybody talked about and won tons of awards and all that kind of stuff. That's a huge time commitment, doing an entire series. So that's one of the things she's been featured in most. I don't know what she's got coming up on that level, but no, she's kind of kept herself busy. And I believe, didn't she get an award nomination for that movie she did with George Clooney? She might have gotten a Best Supporting Actress nomination for that movie she did with George Clooney. I think it's called Descendants, was the name of that one. That's the one where I really became aware of Shailene Woodley, was that movie she did with Clooney. But yeah, it's that series, and they're doing another season now, so keep our eyes open for that. So yeah, she's keeping busy. All right, what's next?
All right, Dead Bread writes, over under 75%, no more Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies.
I'll tell you what, I have never seen a Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie. I don't know anybody who's seen Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie. I see it. I go to a movie theater and I see playing in Theater 5 Diary of a Wimpy Kid something, 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 something. And I go, really? That's in theaters? So it's hard for me to say. I don't know. I'm going to take the under 75% for now, but I know nothing about these movies. I don't care about these movies. I don't know anybody that cares about these movies. So I'm going to go under on that just for the hell of it. Have you seen a Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie,
I think
Ray?
I've seen one, maybe like the first 30 minutes, but
Huge,
and it was okay to me.
Huge endorsement. I think
okay
I saw one, maybe the first 30 minutes.
I think the kid's name is Rodney or something like that, but I have no idea. Actually, just don't listen to me anymore.
Put it on the poster. Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Put it on mute.
I saw the first 30 minutes.
MUTE.
I think the kid's name is Rodney.
I think the
Ray
kid's name
Ora.
is Rodney, and I think he has like his hair sticking up in the back. I'm not sure.
Oh, so, Jonathan, you saw the first two and you actually thought they were pretty entertaining.
Yeah, they're definitely for kids, but it's entertaining. Popular books, too.
Well, and they're popular books. Here you go. I will still take the under, so to hell with you all. All right, what's next?
All right, Ben Jesusa writes, okay, I'm up for that new Men in Black. Looks like fun.
Yeah.
Hemsworth is too funny. That Thor Ragnarok reference at the end, LOL. As for Hellboy, I don't know, not so much.
Yeah, when he picks up like the little Mjolnir, like the little hammer, that was. I don't even know if that was on purpose. I don't know if that was even on purpose. And you know what? With the Hellboy thing, Rob and I talked about the Hellboy trailer on Weekly Hero yesterday, and you know, we're still trying to wrap our heads around it. You know, it was one of those things. Well, you know, it's not a bad trailer, but it's not what I was expecting. That musical choice with the Billy Idol musical choice was really not what I was expecting. You know, I watched it a couple more times last night, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think I like this. I think I like this trailer. And really, it's very consistent with the tone of the other Hellboy movies. And when you listen to actual lines and dialogue and the nature of the character, they're keeping it pretty consistent. And that's not surprising because Mike Mignola, who is the creator of Hellboy, he was heavily involved with this movie and making sure they got it right. And, you know, I trust the director. Neil Marshall, I believe, is the name of the director. He did the Descent, which is like my number 2 all-time favorite horror movie of all time. So I trust that. And I watched the trailer a few more times. And I just think I had to get over my shock about how different of a trailer it was than I thought I was expecting. But I gave it another shot. I was like, yeah, I dig it. Not great, but I'm on board. So I know a lot of people still caught them very much off guard and they're not quite sure what to make of the trailer. That's totally fine. But to me, I think I'm on board with it, at least marginally for now.
Would you consider it then a real reboot if they're just remaining the same?
Yeah, I think you can reboot and maintain the same kind of tone. I don't think you necessarily have to change the entire tone of a movie for it to be a reboot, but it's a reboot. It's like, okay, those other stories don't exist, but we're bringing the character back again as the character is, and doing it that way. So yeah, it's still a reboot. Let's see. All right, what's next?
PGML writes, I think Rocket might find Stark while looking to see if his team has dusted.
I don't know about that. I don't know that Rocket finds him, although it is possible. I mean, look, there are a number of characters we don't see in the Endgame trailer. There's a number of characters we don't see. One of them is Rocket. Can you make an argument that maybe the reason you don't see Rocket is because Rocket is in a rocket heading off to go to Titan to see what's left of his beloved Guardians of the Galaxy team, see if any of the rest of them dusted along with Groot, and maybe just outside of the orbit of Titan is not far, just adrift is Tony, and he finds his ship. It's possible. You can make an argument for that.
Well, with Star-Lord gone now, isn't Rocket now the best pilot in the universe?
I don't know. I mean, he's definitely the best pilot in the Guardians of the Galaxy because he's the only Guardian left.
Star-Lord was.
What's that?
Star-Lord?
I don't think they ever said he was the best pilot in the galaxy.
Oh, okay.
But then again, we haven't seen a lot of pilots in the galaxy, right? Like, it's been very limited for what we've seen. There's an argument you can make that it'd be Rocket. I still think that when Cap and Black Widow are talking and she says, this is going to work, I still kind of think that's in the first act of the film. I don't think that's later in the movie. I think that's the first act of the film. And I think what they're talking about is not ultimately saving the world at that point. I think at that point, he's just talking about going to save Tony. So that's my feeling on it, but I could be way wrong about that. So anyway, what's next?
I'm Upset writes, what makes more money, Hobbs and Shaw or Jumanji 3?
Well, first of all, I don't call it Jumanji 3. I know that Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, in symbolic ways was connected to the original Robin Williams Jumanji, but that was not Jumanji 2. I'm going to call this new Jumanji movie Jumanji 2. I really see it more as a reboot, but that's just me. Semantics. Ooh, I gotta go Jumanji. I mean, look, the last Jumanji movie nearly made $1 billion. And everybody loved it for good reason. It's a really fun little movie. I don't know necessarily that Jumanji is going to make, the next Jumanji is going to make $1 billion or make necessarily as much as the last one did, but it's going to make a lot. Hobbs and Shaw, it's a spinoff. A spinoff I'm looking forward to. But it's a Fast and Furious movie without Dom, obviously without the Paul Walker character, without all these other favorites everybody has. I'm seeing that one making $500 million, whereas I'm seeing Jumanji making a lot more. So I'm going to say Jumanji. Ray, which one makes more money, Dominic, the Hobbs and Shaw, or the next Jumanji?
I'm going to go Hobbs and Shaw.
Really?
Just because I want to go against your pick.
Oh, well, that's fine. Welcome to my family, everybody. All right, what's next?
Dim Sum 05 writes, new Men in Black trailer kind of fell flat to me. Don't know what I was expecting.
I'm going to disagree with you, Dim Sum. I was kind of pleasantly surprised by it. I thought it was different enough. Like, it had all the nostalgia stuff that we kind of expected would be there. But my question was, is it going to feel different enough with all the nostalgia to feel like it's its own movie? And to me, it did. But then again, therein lies our subjective reactions to it, right? I mean, you're going to react to it one way. I'm sure there are people out there that love it way more than I do. I'm sure there are people who hate it way more. But I'm going to disagree with you on that one. To me, it felt fresh enough. I think Hemsworth just has a knack for this stuff. I've always liked Tessa Thompson. She's getting better and better. So, yeah, I'm going to disagree with you on that one a little bit. I know what I was expecting. I was expecting it to feel flat. That doesn't mean I was expecting the movie to be flat, but I was expecting the first trailer will probably not impress me. But you know what? It kind of did. So, but hey, that's why we all have different opinions on these things. All right, what's next?
Clay writes, I started Man in the High Castle yesterday.
Ooh.
It's so good, and I'm already on season 2. Incredible world building that sucks you right in.
I'll tell you what, that's one of the shows that a lot of people have been telling me I need to check out, is Man in the High Castle. And I keep getting tempted to do it, but I'm so far behind on so many of my other shows that I've never gotten around to it. But I'll tell you what, Clay, like I said, I've got friends of mine, colleagues of mine, all tell me, Man in the High Castle. And I see my friends tweeting about it all the time and talking about it, you know, when new seasons come. It's one I've got to get on my list and I've got to get around to. Have you seen it?
Exclusive to Amazon?
What's that?
Exclusive to Amazon?
I believe it is an Amazon Prime show, yeah. So, and I've got Amazon Prime. So it's not like Titans where I don't have the WB streaming service, so that's why I can't watch. I've got Amazon Prime. I just got to have the time to get around to watching it. But believe me, it is on my list. I got to see this thing. All right, what's next?
Grandmaster writes, I told you Van Dyke is dancing without CGI.
Yeah, I remember when they said Dick Van Dyke would do some dancing. I believe he's in his 90s. I believe Dick Van Dyke's in his 90s. And I saw a few clips of it before with Dick Van on a table dancing, right? I'm like, okay, so they're doing some CGI. It wasn't CGI. It was Dick Van Dyke in his 90s jumping up on the table and doing some dance moves that I can't do. And all you can say is tip the cap, man. Just tip the cap to Dick Van Dyke. Because, yeah, that was him doing it and did it well. And color me surprised, but it was him, and it was really good. All right, what's next?
Okay, Dim Sum writes in again and says, Spider-Man swinging through Manhattan in Spider-Man was my You'll Believe a Man Can Fly moment. Spider-Man 2 became my Return of the Jedi. I
mean, I remember when those Spider-Man movies came out, the original Sam Raimi ones. And that's the moment, because they in all the Spider-Man movies, they pretty much start with Spider-Man swinging through the city in a lot of them. But it was, you're right. It was what the generation before us, when Superman came out, and the whole marketing campaign was, you'll believe a man can fly, because like it was the best visual effect of a man flying they had ever seen at the time. Today it looks corny, but at the time it was totally different. I remember when that first Sam Raimi Spider-Man came out and seeing Spider-Man swinging through the city. It's like, yeah, it was the first time you would believe Spider-Man is real. It was just jaw-dropping at the time. Now, obviously, by today's standards, not so awe-inspiring, but at the time, it was crazy. And then I remember when The Amazing Spider-Man came out, the first one with Andrew Garfield, I thought it looked even better. But it was crazy. But you're right, those films did that for us, what Superman did for people flying for the generation before us. It absolutely did that. I completely agree with you, man. All right, what's next?
Right. Juan Mejia writes, Lin-Manuel Miranda would be perfect to host the Oscars, but I think it's a bit too late.
I mean, they still don't have a host for the Oscars, right? Well, I mean, okay, Academy, I'll do it. I'm just going to warn you in advance. Tons of people are going to pull up tons of old tweets of mine that make me look really stupid, but whatever. You know what? I'm on board. I'd be on board. Dude can sing. Dude can dance. He's a great entertainer. He is now. He's a legit movie personality now. He's doing a bunch of movies now. In Mary Poppins going to be one of the bigger films of the year. I would have no problem with the Lin-Manuel Miranda hosting. Wouldn't be my top choice, but I would have no problem with that whatsoever. If they named him, I would think that's a pretty good choice. But right now, he's probably going through his old tweets going, what's somebody going to dig up? What did I say something the wrong way at some point in 2003 that's going to be construed? And so they're going to have a hard time finding a host, man. They're going to find a hard time finding a host. All right, what's next?
Right. John D. Benedict writes, Die Hard may not be a Christmas movie, but for me, it feels a little weird to watch it any other time of the year, like some other films set during Christmas.
Well, I mean, yeah, look, so bottom line to me, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's just not. It takes place at Christmas, but has nothing to do with Christmas. So it's not a Christmas movie. But it is a film that a lot of people watch at Christmas. And look, there are different times of the year that you just like, hey, man, when summer's here, I got to watch this movie. It's not necessarily a summer movie, but it's a movie I watch every summer, or a New Year's. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I still don't consider it a Christmas movie, but I don't think there's anything wrong or unusual about, hey, during a certain time of year, there's a certain movie I like to go to. Nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people have that, and there are still people that get mad at me when I say that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, but it's not. But at any rate, all right, what's next?
I'm Upset writes, over or under 5% Will Smith does a song for the new Men in Black film.
Ooh. 5%'s a good line, because I don't think it's impossible. And I also won't be surprised if Will Smith gets listed as a producer on this film. I don't think he's done anything on it.
The real question is, do you want Will Smith to do a new song? I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't mind it. I'd be okay with that. It would give a nice sense of continuity in the series. And I like Will Smith's music. I think it's fun. We were just talking about movies you got to watch in the summertime. I got to listen to Will Smith's song "Summertime" every summer. I got to when it's summer, summertime's got to be playing somewhere on the radio. 5%'s a good line, man. You know what? I'll take the over. I mean, I wouldn't say 15% chance. I certainly wouldn't say a 20% chance. But if you're going to set the line at 5, I'll bite. I'll bite on 5%. I'll take over on the 5%. All right.
There's no way he could top that first Men in Black song, though.
Oh, of course he could.
No, there's no way. That song was really good.
By the way, you want to talk about dated CGI? You want to talk about dated CGI that at the time people thought, oh, this is great, and you watch it now? The music video for the original Men in Black with the dancing alien, awful. Awful by today's standards. All right, what's next?
All right, Dim Sum writes, by the way, after watching Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 2 is still my favorite Spider-Man movie. No, my favorite movie of all time. Still a great flick, though.
You know what? Here's the thing, Dim Sum. The other day on the show, somebody asked, okay, is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, would you now say it's the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time? I'm like, whoa. Let's back it up a little bit. There's this little movie called Spider-Man 2 that for a good chunk of time was considered by many to maybe be the best comic book movie of all time. Now, many other films have come out since, but there was a period of time that a lot of people thought Spider-Man 2 is in discussion. I still think Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2, is in the top 10 greatest comic book movies ever made. You know, it's to me, it's in the discussion with Civil War and Avengers and The Dark Knight and Logan. I'm not saying it's better than those films, but I'm saying it's in the same conversation. You speak it in the same breath. I have now seen Spider-Verse twice, and I am still not ready to say what I think the best Spider-Man movie of all time is. I am not ready to dethrone Spider-Man 2 just yet. Maybe in a couple of months and more pondering on it and soaking in a little bit more, maybe at some point I do say Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie ever. But you do not dethrone Spider-Man 2 out of hand. And I'm just not ready to do that yet, but it's close, man. It's close. All right, what's next?
Nick Unger writes, Phase 4 through 6 theories. Fingers crossed for Dr. Doom.
Dude, we don't even have theories for Spider-Man Far From Home yet. I mean, I don't know. Who's to say? It's like, John, who's going to be the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2047? I don't know. I mean, look, obviously, 4 through 6. Okay, so average, like, say, 5 movies per phase, 5 or maybe 7, probably get up to 6 or 7 movies per phase. You're talking somewhere over the next 27, 28 movies. Do I expect a Doctor Doom? Well, sure, at some point, yeah, we're going to get Doctor Doom in the MCU, no doubt. I mean, that's just obvious. But as far as like theories are, dude, we got 3 movies still in front of us. We're all still wrestling with our theories for Avengers Endgame. And that's coming out in a few months. And a lot of us still don't even know what that's going. How can we possibly predict or make, predictions about what comes after that when we don't even know what happens in this damn movie? I mean, they have done a great job keeping all the details about Avengers Endgame really under wraps. They've done a tremendous job of it. But yeah, it's hard for us to even guess, like, we don't even know how the hell they're going to explain Spider-Man has a standalone movie coming 2 months after Avengers Endgame when he's apparently dead. Like, we don't even know that. So speculating into phase 4, phase 5, phase 6, I just, there's nowhere I can go with that. No, I have no idea. I have no idea,
We don't
man.
have enough hours in the day.
There's not enough hours in the day. Absolutely. All right. What's next?
All right, Jeff Crow writes, really enjoyed Men in Black trailer. Brought me back to the original feel. Thor reference was hilarious. Didn't know Liam Neeson was in this. Eagerly excited.
Yeah, see, I knew Liam Neeson was in it, but I expected, he's going to be in it like, Anthony Hopkins was in Mission Impossible 2. Shows up for 5 or 6 minutes and then gone. And then, like I said, when the trailer starts and you see Liam Neeson partnered with Chris Hemsworth, think, so Liam Neeson dies and they bring in a new partner. Yeah, it looks like he's in it. He has a more significant role in it than we thought. Unless this is one of those misleading situations where they're making it look, guys, it also stars Liam Neeson, but he has like 6 minutes of screen time. But it looks like it's a more major role than I was anticipating, and that's exciting to me. And yeah, I liked it as well, Preston. I thought it was pretty damn good. All right, what's next?
All right, Preston says Men in Black and Hellboy trailers felt meh, which sucks. Feel they will suffer from rehashed disaster at the box office. Hope I am wrong.
I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. Look, I'm often in that same position, Preston. There are many things that I think that I hope I'm wrong. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. I mean, hey, look, it's all how we react to things. The Hellboy one was never meh to me. It was confusing. I was confused by it. Was not what we were expecting, so a little bit confused by it. But I do think this Men in Black one was better than I was anticipating. And you're right. I mean, a lot of people have mentioned the Thor reference and all that kind of stuff was great. I do not think these films are going to disappoint at the box office. Now, it all depends on what your definition of disappointing is, right? Like some morons out there, a movie makes $700 million. They go, oh, it flopped. It made $700 million and made tons of profit. That's not a flop. So it all depends on what your definition is. But I don't think these ones will disappoint. Look, let's be realistic, though, about Hellboy. None of the other Hellboy movies did very well at the box office. Let me bring these numbers up here. Some people who talk about Hellboy, and they talk about it as if it was some huge successful franchise, right? Let me just bring this up here. And they talk about Hellboy like it was some big, huge, successful franchise. The reality is they were not. They weren't flops. They certainly weren't flops. The original Hellboy, you know how much money it made in North America? Not in its opening weekend, but in North America. $59 million. You know how much it made worldwide? Ray, you want to take a guess? Worldwide.
No, I'm not even going to try that.
Not even going to try.
No.
Didn't even make $100 million.
Oh, jeez.
Made $99 million worldwide. Hellboy 2 did a little bit better. Hellboy 2 worldwide made $160 million. Made $160 million. So understanding what a property like Hellboy has done at the theaters, then what do we say is disappointing? Because I'll tell you what, if this Hellboy movie comes out and makes $230 million, that blows away any of the other Hellboy films. Is that disappointing? Are there people with like completely unrealistic expectations about what Hellboy should do? Thinking, oh, it's going to make $600 million. It's like, that's like more than triple what any Hellboy movie ever did. So again, it all depends on what is your expectation. We should not expect Hellboy to make anything over $400 million. We just shouldn't. This is not a popular character. This is not a beloved franchise. Nobody went to go see the other two, so we shouldn't magically expect that the world is going to beat down any theater doors. And I don't think this studio's expecting that. I think they're hoping to get $300 to $400 million. And if they do that, that's a success. That'll be a success for them. We just got to kind of manage our expectations there a little bit. All right, what's next?
Right. Stephen Mazel writes, funny, out of all the movies that came out this week, Bumblebee has the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Yeah.
Lost bet with self from 6 months ago.
Dude, I would have lost that bet too. I would have lost that bet because Travis Knight's directing Aquaman. I had some pretty decent expectations for that. Mary Poppins, huge expectations for that. I mean, a couple other films. What is it sitting at now? Like 97%? Last time I checked the Bumblebee rating, it was sitting at 97%.
Oh, I want to see it so bad now.
And look, not best film of the year, but it's the type of film that I can just see everybody's going to enjoy. Maybe not walk out saying, that was my favorite ever, but it's just the kind of movie I think everybody's going to like. And that's what 97% means. It doesn't mean 97% of the critics thought it was the best movie of the year, but it means 97% of all the critics said, yeah, this is a good movie. And I think that bodes very well for it. I was so shocked about how much I enjoyed it. And you're right, man. That's a bet I would have lost myself. If somebody had put money on, let's bet that Bumblebee's the highest critic-rated film of that whole release window, I would have said, done. You name your price. I'm taking that bet. And as sometimes happens, I would have lost. I would have lost that bet. All right, what's next?
Thomas Dixon writes, I think one of the reasons I love Spider-Verse was the minimal tech use of Peter Parker's and Miles Morales' Spider-Man. Very much unlike the MCU's Parker.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes.
Because, I love Tom Hardy's Spider-Man. Tom Hardy. I love that. That's something else you guys didn't know about. I just spoiled something. No, I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's great. But I have always said it has bothered me a little bit. My one little perturbed thing about it is that they seem to think Spider-Man isn't cool. Spider-Man's not cool. You know who's cool? Iron Man. Kiddies love Iron Man. Let's make Spider-Man Iron Man Jr. Let's give him an Iron Man suit, but we'll just paint it like Spider-Man, so it's different. We'll call it Iron Spider, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. You do not need to make Spider-Man Iron Man Jr. You don't have to give him an Iron Man suit. Spider-Man has been one of the most popular, most beloved comic book characters without being freaking Iron Man Jr. And I love the fact, one of the things that I love about this Spider-Verse movie is they just let Spider-Man be Spider-Man. And I loved that. They do some cool things. I'm not saying technology isn't a part of it, but they didn't feel the need to make him a hybrid of a bunch of other superheroes. No, he's Spider-Man. Why? Because Spider-Man's good enough. And yeah, that is one of the things I loved about that. All right, what's next?
Mad Real Cinema writes, Stan Lee once said in an interview, Michael Jackson wanted to buy the rights to Spider-Man. Just to have fun with the idea, what do you think a world where MJ owned Spider-Man would look like?
Different. I mean, that's for sure. It would look really different. But first of all, Spider-Man out of the hands of Marvel at all. I mean, out of the hands, because remember, before it got on Sony, it was with Marvel, and then with Sony, but Marvel Input and blah, blah, blah. Just out of that whole realm, I don't know, man. It would have been different, particularly if it was in the hands of a non-movie maker like Michael Jackson. All due respect to people who are the fans of the music of Michael Jackson, but he was a musician. He was not a filmmaker. So it certainly would have been very different. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to think about that world. They don't get me wrong. Again, no disrespect to Michael Jackson. You know, my favorite, band in the world of all time is U2, but I don't want Bono owning the rights to Spider-Man either. So, I mean, that's just not a good place to be.
If I had a bunch of money, I would try to buy the rights to something cool too.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like, no, hey, God bless Michael Jackson. Like, if I had that kind of money, I would say, how can I buy the rights to Guardians of the Galaxy? How can I buy the rights to Bishop? How can I buy the rights to whoever? I would totally do it. So I don't blame them, but I'm just, as a fan, I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah,
and you guys should be glad I don't have that kind of money to buy those characters as well. All right, what's next?
Sebastian writes, reaffirming a $1 billion Aquaman, and Marwen is in trouble.
Oh, it's massive trouble. I mean, look, let's be honest here. I said this on the show a few weeks ago too, but even when I was still really looking forward to Welcome to Marwen. But I'll say it again. Like I said before, this was not a movie that's ever going to make a lot of money. It's not designed to be a big blockbuster. It's designed to make its money back and earn a profit, but it was never designed to be a huge blockbuster. This was never a movie that was going to make $500 million at the box office. And if any of the studio people there thought that movie was ever going to make that kind of money at the box office, then they're idiots. Because it just never was. But even with managed expectations, it's definitely in trouble. Even with moderate expectations, it's in trouble with these types of reviews that we're hearing. So, man, it is what it is. All right, what's next?
All right, Preston makes a U-turn and says, take back the myth for Men in Black. Second viewing was better.
That's funny. I, first of all, respect for walking back your own comment. I respect that. You didn't have to do that. You came out and said, watch it again. It's not, man. It's pretty good. I had to watch it a couple times. I watched the first time, like, all right. I gotta watch it again. And then I watched it again, and then I liked it more. And yeah, it's just, to me, it's got life. It's a trailer that's got life to it. Not an amazing trailer. Not a trailer's blowing us away, but the trailer's got life to it, and it kind of worked for me. All right, what's next?
Sebastian writes, did you get your soda last night? Still love A-list.
So I put out on Twitter last night. I kid you not. Look, first of all, I love AMC theaters. I clearly have a long history with AMC theaters. I worked with AMC theaters for a long time when I established AMC Movie News and Movie Talk. It all did at AMC. A huge amount of love for a lot of people at AMC. Other than their pack of jackals, morons that run their HR department that, are an embarrassment to the entire industry. The HR department at AMC, just my opinion, bunch of useless jackals. Anyway, that try to undermine and destroy anything that is good in the universe. So anyway, aside from that, I have a love relationship with AMC theaters overall. But last night, Ann and I go to see this early screening of Mary Poppins, right? Ann is coming straight from work. So I walk down to the theater. It's only about a 15-minute walk from where I live. I walk down to the theater, get there. Movie's at 6:40, right? I get there, and get in line at like 6:29, right? And they have the A-list, because I'm an AMC A-list member, as many of you are, and they've got this regular concession line with the red ropes, and then they have the gold ropes for the priority line for concession stands, right? So fine, I get in line. About 15 people, maybe 20 people in front of me. I've seen much worse. 20 minutes later, Anne had left work. When I'm walking to the theater, Anne had left work. Anne had arrived, found parking in the parking structure, walked into the theater, got scanned in with her A-list, went in the theater and got her seat, and I was still standing in line. 20 minutes I'm standing in line. So I get on social media last night. This is what Sebastian's talking about. I get on social media last night, and I tweet to AMC, and I see, "Dear AMC Helps, what's the point of having a priority line if I'm still going to stand in line for 20 freaking minutes just to get a Coke?" I should have said Diet Coke, because it was really a Diet Coke. Yes, I did. I wasn't going to abandon my place in line after investing 20 minutes of standing in it. But hey, look, AMC, I love you. I really do. I love going to the movies there. My first choice of theaters to go to. But get your freaking act together, because concessions is what keeps you in business. Concessions is also part of the movie-going experience. And you freaking sour my movie-going experience before the movie even starts almost every time, because you have such a terrible process when it comes to your concessions line. Every AMC I have ever been to, unless I've gone in there at a very slow period where no one else is in line, every time I go to an AMC theater, if there's more than 2 or 3 people in front of me, I look at my watch and go, well, I might as well get comfortable, because this is an incredibly slow process they have. Fix your process. Fix your process, because it affects the movie-going experience. And if people don't have a good time when they go to the movies, yes, even before the movie starts, it hinders their chances of coming back again. Get your act together. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I could do it better, but that's why you're in that position. Do it better. Do it better. So if people want to give you money, it's easy for them to give you money, because right now you're making an incredibly frustrating experience to give you money. And that's stupid business. That's stupid business. So get your act together when it comes to that.
Get this man a soda.
Get this man a soda, damn it. All right, I ranted on that long enough. What's up?
Joe Byram writes, Aquaman is my favorite movie of the year. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Also, I think I'm in love with Amber Heard now.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man.
Amber Heard. Look, let's just have some real talk here for a minute. Let's have some real talk. I remember, I mean, look, every woman in Hollywood is gorgeous. I mean, that's just, look, I would always joke about, you could throw a quarter, and before it hits the ground, that quarter will bounce off of 18 incredibly beautiful women. And that's Hollywood, right? So you just kind of get desensitized to that. But I remember Amber Heard did this little horror action film with Nicolas Cage, where it's like he comes from hell or something like that. It's about a car and blah, and I can't even remember the name of it. Fact checker Jonathan, if you can figure that out.
I think I remember, because I remember that cover of that.
Yeah, and William
Fickner.
Fichtner. William Fichtner is the bad guy in it, who's after Nicolas Cage to bring him back to hell. So I can't remember the name of it.
Drive or something like that?
I think Drive was the name of the.
Else.
It was some, but it's close, because I think The Rock's movie was called Drive. I think The Rock did a movie called Drive. But anyway, it's something like that. Okay. And I remember I got to go in to interview Amber Heard. And it was one of those moments where you just, what's it called?
Drive Angry.
Drive Angry. Thank you. Drive Angry is the name of the movie. I remember I went in to interview, I sat down with Amber Heard. And it's one of those moments where on the outside you look cool and collected, but in my head I'm like, compose yourself. Because like it's just a little shocking. Sometimes you run into an individual. I remember I had the same experience, and I am boringly heterosexual. But I remember the first time I met Javier Bardem, it was like, every once in a while you meet somebody who is so good looking that you just got to go, it throws you off for a minute. And like Javier Bardem's one of those dudes. It's just not fair that a human being looks as good as this dude does. And I just want to go up and punch him in his stupid mouth when I first met him. But just because it's so unfair that he's so good looking and I'm working with this. But I was that kind of experience when I walked in to sit down with Amber Heard. It's like you walk in and it's just a little bit shocking. It's like you're not prepared for just how good looking this individual is. Amber Heard is stunning, man. Absolutely stunning.
As Mara too.
And as Mara, I thought she looked.
That's the Amber Heard I like. I've never noticed her before, but as Mira,
she worked, man. She totally worked, and you know she did a good job in the movie too. I thought she acted really well in the film. You know, it was surprising me. Robert actually made Aquaman his number 2 favorite comic book movie of the year.
Yeah, he did.
Just behind Infinity War. It was my number 5. Like, it made my top 5 ahead of Ant-Man and the Wasp and ahead of Venom. But I had it in the number 5. I was surprised. Robert put it up at as high as number 2. But
if it was a Mirror movie, it'd be number 1. For sure.
Okay, Ray.
On my list.
All right, what's yours? Next?
Okay, Jacob Leader writes, how much do directors make compared to actors? I want to know this too.
It all depends. It all depends on the actor, what they can demand. It's so different. You can look this up online. I believe this information is freely publicly available. Look up the Directors Guild of America, and there is a pay chart for what, like, with the contract negotiations between the Directors Guild of America and the studio system about, you know, minimums and whatever that directors need to make. You can look that information up. For the most part, they don't make as much money as actors do. But then again, even that depends on the movie, right? Not every actor gets $8 million a film. Some actors get $700,000 a film. Some actors get $200,000 a film. Some actors get $12 million. It really all depends. Directors who are part of the DGA and work in the studio system, they'll make good money. But, you know, not Robert Downey Jr. money, not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson money. Directors don't make that kind of money. But and then again, it goes from director, like Christopher Nolan makes a different paycheck than who's the cat who just what's the guy's name who just directed the Evil Dead remake and Don't Say a Word. I'm freezing on his name now. But anyway, like, you know, Nolan will command a much higher paycheck than that guy. So it really all depends. But I do encourage you, look that up, Directors Guild of America pay charts, and you should be able to get that information freely. All right, what's next?
Okay, Taki75 writes, Venom 2, you think Sony will hear the critics and try to rectify first film's mistakes? Or will they say, screw them, we got $850 million, changed nothing?
What mistakes? What mistakes? And whose mistakes? See, that's the other thing. Whose mistakes? Because here's the thing, Taki. You can say something was a mistake, but I may disagree. You may say this A and B were mistakes, and I might go, no, they weren't. So who do they listen to? You or me? Then I might go, C and D were mistakes, and you're going to go, no, I had no problem with C and D. So who do they listen to? You or me? I'll go back to that old adage, you know, that the great NFL football coach says, coaches who listen to the fans are destined to be sitting with them next week. You're the filmmaker. Do what works. Because remember, everybody was screaming at them, your movie can't work without Spider-Man. Did they listen? Nope, they didn't listen. Should they have listened? Hell no, they shouldn't have listened. They knew what would work, and they did it. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. They knew what would work when everybody on the planet was screaming at them, this will never work. You can't do a Venom movie without Spider-Man, blah, 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 blah. They did it anyway, to the tune of $854 million.
I know the mistake.
What was the mistake?
Okay, 2 words. Trash can and chicken. Because I felt
that was
sick
great. That scene was awesome.
But wasn't that gross, though?
Of course it was gross. But that's what they were going through. I felt
Oh,
sick to my stomach, but they were going for that. See,
that was the big mistake.
That's a great example. One person thinks it's a mistake. I didn't think it was a mistake. So who do they listen to? So I think they just got to follow their own North Star. All right, what's next?
Celerity writes, I'll miss the show over break. Happy holidays. John.
Yeah, well, you know, and we will not be in the studio here. Today is the last day that we're doing it in the studio for 2018. But the John Campea Show is on tomorrow. I'm just going to do it from the home studio. And then next week, I am going to do shows. I'm going to do live shows next week from the Campea Ranch up in Canada. I'm going to be doing now. Where it's not going to be all this production value. It's going to be, you know, a webcam and me, but we're still going to be around to talk about movies. Maybe not every single day, but most days I'm going to try to do shows while I'm up there. And because I just can't go all that long without talking about movies. All right, what do we got? What's next?
I have no idea. This thing just jumped on me. You're going to probably have to take the next one.
Yeah, jumps happen. And guys, we only have time for just a couple more questions here, and then we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Let's see.
Christian Lomas.
That's it. I think that was the next
Better
one.
actor, Colin Farrell or Ewan McGregor?
Woo! Sophie's choice. Nice comparison. Because I think both of these guys are great. Everybody knows Ewan McGregor's great. I think Colin Farrell's underrated. Colin Farrell's a better actor than you might think. I think he's a really, really gifted actor, as well as Ewan McGregor.
I got Farrell.
You got Farrell?
Yeah, I just seen him in more dynamic roles.
Damn. Yeah, I might lean Farrell too, but it's close. You know, it's one of those things where you ask me today, I'll give one answer. Tomorrow, I might give another. It's that close to me, but I think I'm going to agree with you on that one, Ray. I'll lean towards that. All right, let's take 2 more questions.
Okay, Asante Freeman writes, the franchise seems a bit long in the tooth, but this looks like a refreshing take. And I have no idea.
You know what?
Oh, maybe Men in Black.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe.
going to assume Men in Black, maybe. The franchise is a little long in the
Or
tooth.
Hellboy.
Which is, let's assume it's Men in Black.
Yeah.
It is one that's a little bit long in the tooth, and it's one of the reasons why I question the decision that they even made it. I question the decision that they were even going to make it. But you know what? They made it, and then I watched the trailer, and I thought the trailer was pretty good. So, yeah, let's see what happens. It does look like a bit of a refreshing take. What's that?
Is this Sony, too?
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, yeah. We can't disagree with Sony right now.
They're on a roll.
Yep.
They're on a roll, man. All right, what's next?
Okay, John D. Benedict writes, F. Gary Gray also made that movie, The Negotiator.
Yeah.
Always really liked that movie. Somewhat underrated, in my opinion.
The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey. It's difficult saying the name Kevin Spacey these days, but the movie with those two dudes, wonderful film. It was the first movie to me, though, in this whole trend of you're giving away too much in the trailers. I remember The Negotiator was the first trailer I saw where I went, what the hell? They just showed us the entire movie. It's like, there's a negotiator. I want this guy to work with me. And then they bring in the negotiator. And then the two of them start working together. And then even in the trailer, there's a scene where Samuel Jackson's like, now you got to deal with both of us. It's like you just gave the movie away. And I remember this was the first time for me that I saw a trailer. It was like, you just gave it all. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the movie's great. And yes, he's done a couple of other ones too, but yeah, that was one that's a really good one. All right, let's do a couple more. Let's get down to Baby Boy before we. So let's go all the way down to Baby Boy there.
See, that Asian guy over there says, I'm a little bummed out that Ashes from Deadpool 2 didn't make the Academy shortlist for Best Original Song. Also, hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Shocked is the word. Shocked is the word. Not just because I like Deadpool 2. That has nothing to do with it because the individual song has nothing to do with the movie. It is a great song that just on its own got legit airplay because it's a great song by Celine Dion. I am flabbergasted. The only thing I can think of, because we've been hearing a lot about this both in scores and in songs and things like that. The only explanation to me is that there was a technical reason that the song didn't qualify. That's the only thing I got. I cannot think for any rational reason why Ashes from Deadpool 2 does not get a nomination, other than there must have been a technical reason that didn't qualify. That's all I got. And I got to hold on to that because otherwise I'll get too angry. All right, what's next?
Ali Hussein writes, when are you going to do the best and worst movies of 2018?
I still have to see Vice, so I can't do that until I see Vice. So I will probably it'll happen before the new year. I will do my best and worst before the new year, but I will probably do those from Canada. So I will do them from up there before the end of the year. That's when I'll get around to my best of and my worst of. You know what's funny? Last couple of years, my worst of the year videos get more views than my best of the year videos. It's kind of funny. All right, last question of the day.
Baby Boy 8603 writes, hi, John. I rewatched Thor 3, and at the end of the film, everyone was on the ship. Where does the reference come from about Valkyrie escaping and why she wasn't shown in Infinity War?
Well, remember, when they get to, everybody's on the ship, but when they cut to the ship then in Infinity War, they're not all there, right? They're not all there. So clearly, a bunch of them got away. And then Thor says later on, he decimated half my people, right? So we know that a bunch of them got away. They didn't directly reference that in the film, but it's one of those things that I feel like didn't need to be directly referenced. Okay, Korg's not there. Valkyrie's not there. So-and-so's not there. Okay, so a bunch of them got away. And we know Thanos only wipes out half. He doesn't wipe out everybody. He wipes out half. That's what he does. That's his modus operandi. So it's not something that I believe. I don't think it had a direct reference in the movie, but it's alluded to. And I think it was one of those things that they didn't need to directly say for us as the audience to kind of get it. You know, sometimes filmmakers are guilty of over-explaining things. Like they treat the audience like they're dumb. It's like, okay, we got to blatantly, and sometimes there's details that they don't need to do that. And I've always just like, the first time I watched Infinity War, I just as an audience member went, oh yeah, so I guess Korg and Valkyrie, they probably got away. That was just my assumption. Then the Russo brothers confirmed that's what happened. So yeah, that's just where it's at. Again, they didn't say it directly in the movie. I didn't really think they needed to at any rate. All right, guys.
Wait.
What?
Let's just this last one.
All right.
Sebastian says, Schnepp said, just enjoy a movie. Don't be Trekkies.
Well, I mean, I remember when Schnepp said that. I mean, look, sometimes, though, here's the thing. Sometimes people misuse that phrase. You know, just you go to a movie to enjoy it. Yeah, but the movie's got to be enjoyable. I mean, a movie's got to be enjoyable. Like people say, well, you said this movie was stupid fun, so why didn't you like this movie? Well, because this movie was stupid fun and that movie was just shit. And that's why. I mean, so yes, I think the point Schnepp and everybody else tries to make is that don't overanalyze it. Don't overthink it. Don't go into it. Like, just go in and let the movie hit you. And if you do, for the most of the time, you'll have a good time. But at the same time, a movie's still got to be enjoyable to enjoy it. And that'll be all depending on your personal sensibilities. Just like everything else in movies, it's all subjective. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and being a part of this. Don't worry, I got a bunch of companion videos I'm going to be making before I leave for my vacation. So I'm going to have like 3 of them going up between now and Sunday. So all the questions from Casinema Reviews and Samuel Pole all the way down. Don't worry, guys. Those questions are going to get added to the list for companion videos, and they will get answered in the next couple of days. Keep your eyes open for that. Don't forget the John Campea Show will be back again tomorrow, just not from the studio. I'll be doing it from my home studio there tomorrow. That will do it for me for now, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name's John Campea, and until then, bye-bye.